Today's gospel reading is a well-known story about these two miraculously pregnant women encountering one another. And I can show you that picture later if you want, because if you Google Mary and Elizabeth greeting one another and look at the images, there's some really neat images that pop up, and this was one of them. After learning of her pregnancy and accepting the undertaking of childbearing and mothering, Mary seems to instinctively know that she needs some time away. She isn't showing yet. I mean, this is like brand new news. It says a couple days later, right? So it's too early in her pregnancy to show. So the travel isn't really about hiding. What's gonna show eventually. She's traveling, I think, for another reason. The angel had told Mary that her elderly kinswoman, Elizabeth, was 6 months pregnant. She was going there. In Elizabeth, Mary would encounter another woman acquainted with the mysterious ways of God, both so unexpectedly pregnant. One thought to be too old, the other thought to be too innocent. Both were open to the divine mystery, open to carrying a promised child, open to the uncharted path ahead. Elizabeth was someone who would understand and probably even be a source of wisdom. I imagine here she is 6 months ahead of Mary in the process that she would be Mary's very own What to Expect When You're Expecting book. Kind of a scout ahead of her on the road. We can only imagine what Mary was thinking as she undertook the journey to Elizabeth's house. One of my favorite Advent songs is by Amy Grant called Breath of Heaven, in which Mary is imagined to have said, and here are the lyrics of some of the song, I am waiting in a silent prayer. I am frightened by the load I bear. In a world as cold as stone, must I walk this path alone? Be with me now. Be with me now. Breath of heaven, hold me together. Be forever near me. Breath of heaven, lighten my darkness. Pour over me your holiness, for you are holy. Breath of heaven. As Mary approaches her destination, she is greeted warmly, and Elizabeth's body responds to the potential life in Mary. She knows deep down that something special is coming. The potential life in her, John the Baptist, leaps for joy. She knows that Mary is blessed. She knows she is blessed to be visited by Mary. Had they been practitioners of yoga, they might have said to one another, Namaste. The word literally means bow me, you, or I bow to you, but it is often translated as the holy in me bows to the holy in you. Namaste. Isn't this what's happening between Mary and Elizabeth? They are acknowledging the holy in one another, both delighting in what God is doing in and through the other. With eyes and hearts open to what God is doing in their midst, these two women are joyful, exuberant even. Mary breaks out into song, singing a song we know as the Magnificat. Encountering God in her commissioning, which we often call the Annunciation, And now, as a bearer of Jesus, she has come close to the mystery that is God. Her understanding of who God is has expanded. She is no longer able to oversimplify her creator and sustainer. God is not just sweet and kind love, but also fiery justice that upsets the status quo. God is both tame and wild, both knowable and beyond her grasp. Her impassioned, inspired song has had central place in liturgies that comfort many. And it has also been banned by countries who were threatened by its message. In this song, she holds all these paradoxes together with grace. As Christians, we believe that the divine and human met in Jesus. Yet that isn't the only place that the holy takes on flesh. Today we are reminded that they also converged in Mary and in Elizabeth and in each of us. Like Mary and Elizabeth, we are also bearers of God in our lives. We are also pregnant with good news. Did you know that you're pregnant? You are. Pregnant with good news. We also have a song to sing. We are humans made in the image of God, filled with the breath of heaven. Do you recognize the divine in your own life and in the life of others? Are you able to see how others are blessed and celebrate that without envy? Are we able to rejoice in the ways that God uses others for good? Where have you seen the holy lately? Where has God showed up lately? Was it in a person? I asked this question, and I've asked that question in a number of contexts, and it's amazing how often when people are asked, where have you seen the holy lately? They talk about an encounter with a person. It's not limited to that, but it's a good possibility. I invite you, as you gather with family and friends this Christmas, possibly people that you all get along with all the time, but possibly not, to pay attention